Welcome to a Holy Mess podcast. All right, my friends, we all know life can be so difficult and painful at times, especially when we're carrying grief or loss or wrestling with shame about our past, anxiety about our future, or frankly, like we are just not enough. But there has to be so much more for us. There is hope and joy, peace, love, fun, purpose, and a reason that you, my friend, are on this planet. Let's partner with God so you can be who He created you to be as you wrestle through and trudge through your mess. Hi, I'm Dani, a recovering alcoholic, a mom, a wife, a mentor, and dust. We are only here for a moment. Let's live like it. I'm just like you. I'm a holy mess most days. Actually, every day. Let's have some fun and laugh while trudging through our mess. This stuff doesn't need to be dry and boring. Let's dig in.
Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome back to the podcast. And just as I hit record, my alarm on my phone went off. So there you go. That is life. Man, oh man, happy week, you guys. What day is it? Well, this episode is uploading on a Wednesday. I'm recording this actually on a Monday. I just wanted to say hello and just drop in and say thanks for being here today. Today's episode is a short prayer that I love. So I actually learned this prayer when I first got sober. It's actually one of the prayers that they say in a lot of recovery meetings at the very end. Most people stand up, hold hands. Well, pre-COVID, we held hands. Post-COVID, not every room holds hands anymore, and that's okay. But pre-COVID, we'd hold hands and we'd say the Serenity Prayer together. And it's a really powerful prayer, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. Happy summertime, or whenever you're listening to this episode. I'm grateful you're here. Whatever season it is, in your neck of the woods, I hope you're enjoying the weather. I was on a call with a student today, one of my friends who's a client, and she lives in New Zealand, and she was all bundled up and she had a beanie because they're going into winter. And here in California right now, we're actually in the middle of summer. So it's been, well, actually I'm wearing a hoodie right now, but the sun is setting and it's a little bit cooler here. I live on the central coast of California, which is a little bit cooler than, say, Southern California. So I get to wear a hoodie in the summer sometimes. But this weekend, we're going to see my parents. And it is going to be, are you ready for this? 112 degrees. It's going to be 112 degrees this weekend at my parents' house, which is 44 degrees Celsius, which is nuts. You guys, that is like crazy. I mean, that's like sauna hot. Like that is what you go. I have a sauna. I go in my sauna almost every day. I try to get it up to about 131 to 140 degrees. But I'm telling you, at 112 degrees, I still sweat. I mean, I perspire and all the things. So 112 degrees is sauna hot, but we're going there for vacation. So this is true love. When you love your parents, you go visit them in 112 degree heat. So we're excited. But Zach, our son, only gets 3 weeks off this summer from football. And so we're trying to utilize that time well. So he's going to camp for one of those weeks. We're doing some white water rafting as a family, which if you've been listening to the podcast for a year, you know, last summer I went white water rafting with my kids and Gary and some other families and friends. And it was just the time of my life. I had so much fun. I had so much anxiety going into it. Like I was scared to death. And by the end of it, you guys, I literally wanted to become a river guide and just live on the river and be a guide, which is hilarious because I wouldn't qualify as a river guide, okay? But that's just, I get excited about things. And so, as you can tell, because this is what I do for a living, right? I have enthusiasm. I also struggle with depression and anxiety, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. So all the things, it's really fun being Dani. Let me tell you, it's a roller coaster. But if you're on YouTube, you just saw my arms go up and down, up and down. But here's the thing. As I've been on this spiritual journey and this healing journey with Jesus and just really coming home to myself and dealing with all the things that have kept me stuck and bound for so many years, my roller coasters are a little bit more calm. They're like a level 2 rapids. Used to be level 4 or 5 rapids. Now they're just level 2, which if you've ever whitewater rafted, you know level 2. Toddlers can get through level 2 rapids, which is wonderful. So anyways, that was a little segue just to say hello. Today's episode is going to be another 2 minutes long. It's literally super short. It's a prayer. This is one of those go-to prayers that I do literally I would say literally every day. Yeah, I can literally say I do it literally every day. When I first got sober, sometimes this is the only things that I could utter out of my mouth. and it's the Serenity Prayer. And there's a longer version of it, but today I'm just going to do the 3 lines that sometimes literally saves the day for me. I'm using the word literal a lot in this episode, but you guys, I'm telling you, the value and the strength of this prayer cannot be overstated enough. Overstated? Understated. I cannot overstate. That's what it is. I cannot overstate the value of this prayer enough. I think this prayer is not used enough. So I want to introduce it to you guys. I may have already said it on the podcast, but I'm going to introduce it again. It's something that we go to in my program, and it's just a go-to prayer. It's the Serenity Prayer. Ready? We're going to say it together. So I'm going to say it, and then we're going to say it together. I'll put it in the show notes too. It's 3 lines. I'm telling you, if you memorize it, it's a go-to prayer that you can use all the time. So here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Is that not amazing? Is that not like one of the most profound 3 lines of prayer of your whole life? Okay, let's say it again. Let's say it together. Ready? Repeat after me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. You guys, I'm telling you, when we say that prayer and we really press into it and we really just surrender, this is how we learn to surrender, right? People are always like, surrender and you'll do better in your relationship with God. Or for years, I was like, how do you surrender? Like, how do you let go and let God? Like, especially when circumstances have you just by the nape of the neck. Like, what do you do? How do you actually surrender? You guys, this prayer is an active exercise to surrender. And it's just saying it and taking breaths with it. Sometimes that's all we can do, moment by moment. I was talking with a friend this weekend. We were talking about how life is so one day at a time. And she said, sometimes, Dani, it's like 1 minute at a time, 1 breath at a time, 1 moment at a time. And she's so right, you guys. Sometimes that's life. That's the good life, is just 1 moment at a time, doing what you can in that moment. So God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. You guys, this is huge because so many of us are held up and bound and struggling with the things that we have no control over, the things from our past that we can't change. We just get stuck and we just feel so controlled by it. And I get it. Oh my gosh, do I get it? Like there's a whole process, right, to get unbound from all of that stuff. And prayer and Jesus is the absolute solution. But how do we partner with Jesus to get unbound from that stuff? How do we deal with all of those things, right? And it's sometimes it's just accepting the fact that we can't change the past. We can't change what's been done to us. We can't change what we've done. We can't change choices, all of that stuff, right? The next step is having the courage. Like sometimes, you guys, we just have to pray for the courage to change the things that we can, because the things that we can change, that we do actually have the power to change, sometimes those are the hardest things to change, right? But we've got to remind ourselves, man, it takes courage. And so pray for the courage to change the things that you actually have power over, that you actually can change. It's a game changer. And then the last part of the prayer, and wisdom to know the difference. You guys, and the reason why this part of the prayer is so important is because sometimes we really do need wisdom, because we're like swimming upstream without a paddle, right? There's that saying, when you're up the creek, I won't say the bad word, when you're up the creek without a paddle, right? It's because we're trying to fix the things that we have no control over and that we can't change. Other people in our lives who we want them to change. We try to change them, right? We can't. This is how we actively surrender. Well, how can I change me? How can I change my view of this? How do I maybe have to put up a boundary or get out of this relationship or that sort of thing? Like that's where it's like, pray for the courage to change the things that you have the power over, and then the wisdom to know the difference, right? And you guys, it's not always black and white, and it's not always clear. It's murky. And this is why we have to say this prayer. Sometimes these are the only words we utter. Sometimes this is the only prayer of the day that we utter. And that's okay, you guys. You're dedicating it to Jesus. You're praying. You're saying, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen and amen. I love you guys. I'm grateful you're here. I hope that this prayer encourages you. I put it in the show notes, so please check it out. Memorize it. Say it 10 times a day if you have to. Say it out loud. Remind yourself, look yourself in the mirror and say it. Sometimes it's just So powerful. I love you guys. I'm grateful for you, and I'll see you in a few days.
Hello, my friend. If this episode blessed you, made you laugh, or triggered you, hey, that's growth. Please do me a favor and share this with a friend. And if you feel led, please leave a written review for the show. That really helps us out. Don't forget you are in good company if you're feeling more broken than you'd like to admit. And you are more loved than you can ever imagine. Have a great week. See you next time.